Welcome back to Buy or Sell, the series where you pitch me your predictions for the theme park world, and I either buy or sell them and explain why. If you want your idea considered, leave a comment below starting with the words buy or sell, and I'll consider it for the next video. In this episode, we look at what might be on the chopping block at Kings Dominion and Cedar Point, if a B&M Giga could be in the cards for a park in Florida, and if the SeaWorld parks could be in the double digits in coasters by the end of this decade. This is Buy or Sell, episode 14. Let's start with single rider reek. Universal will eventually build a high-tech trackless dark ride. I'm buying this. I had a buy or sell asking if Cedar Fair would get one and I sold it. But for Universal, I think it's way more likely. Disney has done amazing things with their trackless dark rides. When I ranked the Disney rides, Rise and Runaway Railway were my two favorites. I personally love them. They seem popular. I'm sure they aren't cheap, but that never stops Universal. Disney just started doing this 3 years ago, so it's relatively new, so Universal may be looking into it. Meet Twizzler. After Volcano is replaced, Kings Dominion will replace Anaconda next. I'm buying this. When I was looking at coasters that could be removed in the next 5 years, Anaconda was number 1 on that list. That means I was the most confident that Anaconda didn't have 5 years left. Maybe that was misguided, especially with the loss of Hurler, Shockwave, and Volcano, back to back to back. I should have known they weren't going to jump at the idea of removing another ride, especially with no plans to replace it. And with COVID putting a freeze on everything, that pushed their plans back even farther. Will Anaconda still be the next coaster to be removed? Yeah, I'm buying that. When you consider the other options, the only one I would have considered in danger was Grizzly, but that's getting a retrack in the off-season, so it's gotta be Anaconda next. I just don't know when that'll be. Vanilla Gorillas. If Pipeline is successful, B&M will retrofit their old stand-up coasters with new surf trains. I'm selling this. For one, I don't even know if the surf trains would fit on the stand-up track. Assuming they can make it work, I can't see the parks wanting to make the investment. If they're gonna pay for all new trains, I would just assume they'd go for a floorless. That's more comfortable, and it can be marketed as a new coaster. For parks like Magic Mountain and Great Adventure who already have a floorless, this may be more of a possibility. I don't see it happening, but I will be very curious to see how much better the surf trains are. Right now, as of February 2023 and not having ridden Pipeline, I don't think the experience will be that much different. A Wild Vulture. A launch coaster will be the sleeper hit of the year. I'm buying this. On my prediction video, I said that Gotham City Escape will be the sleeper hit, but someone mentioned Primordial as an option, and I really like that idea. Primordial is a real mystery at this point. I can see it just being okay. I can't imagine the effects and the theming will be bad or of low quality, but I can't see it being generic, and I can also see it being something really cool. If it's awesome, then Primordial would be a slam dunk sleeper hit of 2023. As for the other launch coasters, I'm less confident. Big Bear Mountain should be fun. Pipeline I don't think will blow anyone away. Arctic Rescue, yeah, no. That's going to be like Wavebreaker. And then Dark Coaster may have some awesome theming, so that's a possibility, but still, my money is on Primordial. Liam Brake. Shivering Timbers is going to get a huge Titan track retracking, just like Wolverine Wildcat. I'm buying this. Shivering Timbers is not that rough, at least when I rode it in 2021. It was kind of bumpy, but it in no way ruined the ride. Wolverine Wildcat was a different story. For as much as I enjoyed the ride, it was a real jackhammer. I think they put a lot of work into Shivering Timbers, and now that Wolverine Wildcat has gone the Titan Track route, Cedar Fair will probably use Titan Track on Shivering Timbers in the years to come. It won't be much, but if they identify the high stress areas, they may opt for this. It'll never be torn down, it'll never be RMC'd. I don't even know how popular wooden retracts will be in the future, so I would bet on Titan Track. KB. Because the top 5 Cedar Fair parks are landlocked, in the next 10 years, we will see more investment in the mid-tier parks. I'm selling this. I don't think Cedar Fair bases their investments on how much space their parks have. It's nice that Kings Island and Kings Dominion have a ton of land, unlike Knott's, Cedar Point, and Canada's Wonderland. But Cedar Fair has shown they're willing to axe old rides and replace them. Cedar Fair makes their own space where none exists. Maybe mid-tier parks get some investment in the future, but it won't be due to land. I'd be surprised to see any of their bottom 4 get more than one major investment over the next 10 years. Random Stoner Nerd. Zamperla becomes a major player in the coaster industry in the next 10 years. Up to this point, Zamperla has given us a lot of small coasters, a few unpopular thrill coasters, and a bunch of awesome flat rides. But Zamperla keeps trying new things for the coaster industry, and because of that, I have to buy this. They have a relationship with so many parks because they offer so many products. They got the job at Cedar Point with Wild Mouse. They've been rumored to be working with Cedar Point on Top Thrill Dragster. I can see Zamperla being like Vekoma. maybe a punchline in the past, but could be a force to be reckoned with. Good Waffle Productions. Before the decade ends, Disney will announce a new park to be built for Florida. Disney has had some issues over the last few years. Replacing the CEO may or may not help, but building a whole new park is a pretty major step, and something they haven't done in 25 years. Universal is expanding with Epic Universe, so Disney may be threatened by this, but Universal is still catching up to Disney, who has 4 parks. And now, Universal will have 3, plus Volcano Bay. Maybe if Disney does some research and they think there's demand for a 5th park, and they have the perfect theme for it, they'll give it the green light. I would just bet on them continuing to put major investments in their 4 parks. It's Ryan. All SeaWorld parks will have at least 10 coasters by 2030. So, as of 2023, San Diego will have 6, San Antonio will have 6, and Orlando will have 7. Go back to 2017. San Diego only had 2, and San Antonio and Orlando just opened their 5th. San Diego is on the biggest tear because they had the least to start with. But as you can see, San Antonio only added 1 and Orlando just 2. To me, that says that San Diego may slow down after Arctic Rescue. I've been wrong about SeaWorld's aggression before, but at least the numbers back me up this time. At least they seem to back me up. But that could be misleading. Consider what COVID did to their plans. Those 2020 coasters mostly got moved to 2022, and they jumped right back into the new coaster pool for 2023. It seems like they're going to continue their pre-COVID strategy, major thrill rides in every park every year. They have 7 more years to add 4 coasters to San Diego and San Antonio, and 3 more to Orlando. I can honestly see this happening. It sounds crazy, but it's really not. But that would require a prolonged series of major investments, and I'm gonna bet against that, so I'm selling. We saw it with Six Flags in the early 2000s. They flamed out once those investments stopped paying off. I think Six Flags was a lot more reckless than SeaWorld is now. SeaWorld is a smaller chain, even with the Busch Gardens parks. They're only doing 1 ride per park per year, when Six Flags was going 2, 3, 4 deep for a single park. I just don't know if it's sustainable for another 7 years. Apples to pears. Hershey's next coaster is either a dive or a wing coaster. Hersheypark is pretty stacked. There's not much they need to fill any gaps. Therefore, they may go for a coaster they can market with a gimmick. A dive, a wing, a flyer, all of those would fit that mold, so I'm buying this. Flyers have fallen out of style, but dive coasters and wing coasters are alive and well. Hersheypark just did work with B&M on Candemonium. There aren't any dive or wing coasters near Hersheypark. You have Cedar Point that has both, but that's several hours away. If you're putting money on it, a dive or a wing seem like great options. Gaming Boy 1G. Valleyfair gets a new standout coaster for their 50th anniversary in 2026. I'm buying this. I was really encouraged by what I saw at Worlds of Fun. It had been a long time for them also. Their last new coaster was in 2009, and for their 50th anniversary, they got a new coaster themed to one of their old coasters. Valleyfair has gone even longer. Renegade was their last major coaster in 2007, and their 50th anniversary in 2026 seems like the perfect chance for a new ride. There could be other factors also, like maybe Cedar Fair sees some other economic reason to invest in Worlds of Fun this year. Maybe that reason won't exist at Valleyfair 3 years from now, but on the surface it seems to make sense, so I'm buying it. Trevor Bork Jr. Gold Striker will be relocated to Carowinds. I love the idea, I really do. Carowinds needs a modern wooden coaster in the worst way, and they have a great one in California that's gonna need a new home, but I'm gonna sell this. I just can't imagine them relocating a wooden coaster this size. I know it's been done before. You have rides like the Comet at Great Escape with over 4,000 feet of track and that got moved. But if and when Great America is shut down, I think Gold Striker is demolished. It's been a long time since we've seen a big wooden coaster get relocated. It happens with the small ones more often. Look at Little Dipper at Six Flags Great America. I don't think it's impossible. It actually makes a lot of sense if they want to go through with the trouble. I would just bet against it. Anton Stark. Cedar Point's next coaster will be a big dueling GCI coaster to replace Gemini. I'm buying this. We know Dragster is staying. If it was leaving, I would bet on some kind of RMC T-Rex. Maybe some Gerstlauer inversion record breaker. But now that we know it won't be removed, what's next for Cedar Point? I know the park has talked about getting rid of Gemini in the past. It takes up an enormous plot of land. Cedar Point needs a modern wooden coaster. They can make it dual to honor Gemini and increase capacity. They can give it Titan track and inversions. It may be too similar to Steel Vengeance for the park's liking, but if it's a racing coaster, that may overshadow the similarities. Obviously, this is all assuming they're not only going to remove Gemini next, it also means they'll replace it with a dueling Woody, but it makes enough sense for me to buy. Chilo. There will be a B&M Giga in Florida within the next 10 years. Let's look at the options in Florida. Disney, not a chance. Fun Spot, no way. Universal, don't count on it. SeaWorld, not impossible, but don't bet your house on it. Busch Gardens, bingo. This is what's making me buy this. A B&M Giga is really the perfect addition for Busch Gardens Tampa. It would be the tallest coaster in Florida by 100 feet. The park doesn't have a coaster like it. Mako is just an hour away, but this would dwarf it. They can even give it some more airtime since they don't currently have a hyper, and the park has very little floater airtime. It is a big investment, but that does not scare SeaWorld when it comes to their Busch Gardens parks. I only see one problem. If it has such a big price tag, will they be able to add to the other parks the way they want to? When Cedar Fair adds a Giga, the other parks are usually on hold for a year. That's something to consider. But they already went big with Iron Gwazi when they didn't have to, so a B&M Giga seems right up their alley. Maybe this replaces Kumba, maybe not. But in 10 years, I bet we see a B&M Giga at this park. That's a wrap on episode 14. Let me know what you think of any of these topics, if you agree or disagree, and why. Also, don't forget, if you want your idea considered for the next video, leave it in the comments below, starting with buy or sell. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please consider giving me a sub. I have a playlist with all the other buy or sell episodes. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, and my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you also happen to love baseball. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.